Hello and welcome to day number 1 of painting our neon signs. So in order to get that started today, you're going to need to be set up for a little bit of a mess, right? We are painting. So you can see I've got my paper bag in place, the one that I use all the time, right? So I've got that ready to go because I don't want my desk area to look like this. So put down something. Like I said, I just use a paper bag. But you might choose to use, maybe you've got a tablecloth that works well for your space, newspaper, whatever you work with at your home will be perfect for this. But put something down. You can also see I've got my water dish right here ready to clean off brushes if need be. I am using a painter's palette to do my mixing today. Maybe you have a paper plate. Sometimes I also just use parchment or wax paper. You can see that taped down over here. Should probably replace that. It is getting a little bit dingy looking. So I've got that ready to go. We're going to need our paint brushes. We're going to want the largest kind of rounded tip one seems to work best for today. But you could also, for the second part of painting today, size down a little bit. But we are starting with the widest layers first while painting today. So we're definitely going to need those bigger paint brushes. And then of course our paint. So pick out which colors you're going to be using for your neon paint. Maybe you're using 2, maybe you're using all 4. It's going to kind of be up to you and the design that you came up with. And of course your design, right? You can see I've got mine ready to go here. As a reminder, if you're wondering why mine looks so small in comparison, it's because it is. It's just really, this is the only size paper that fits on the camera. So I had to make mine smaller. That being said, it is harder to do that because my lines are going to be more narrow, so it's going to be hard to fit all of the different layers that we need to. So it's going to be much easier on your bigger piece of paper, having more space to make thicker lines, and remembering each time we do the next layer, we need to be able to see some of that under layer. It'll make more sense. If you're confused right now, it'll make more sense once we get going here. But anyway, I've got myself set up and ready to go. You may also want to use a smock, or just make sure you're not wearing your favorite outfits. Roll up sleeves, right? Do things like that just to get yourself prepared before we actually start painting. Some other things to note. So our neon paint is a bit transparent, meaning that it's kind of see-through. So we are going to always start by adding a touch of the white paint to it. Our white paint is really nice and opaque, meaning that it is not see-through. So we're going to start by adding some white to it, and then we'll go from there. I'll tell you each step of the way what we're doing. So that's the first thing to note. The next thing to note is we're going to start with our widest layer today, right here, this first one. We're going to let that dry, and then today we're also going to do that second layer, but we need to, just like that video we watched, we need to make sure that a little bit of that under layer still shows. That original first one that we're about to do has to still show in order for us to make it look like the neon sign we're trying to do. So that's the ultimate goal. So like I said, you might be choosing to do 2 different colors, all 4 colors. It's kind of up to you and your design. But I am going to get started here. I'm going to be starting with this kind of neon orange one that I have. So once again, first and foremost, we want to mix it with white. And we need to kind of think about this. Like mixing paint, it's hard to get it exactly the same again. So you want to make sure that you're mixing enough of it so that you don't run out, because if you run out, you're going to kind of have to start over again. I'm going to open up my white paint here. Let's see, there's that little tab. I always find it easiest to unscrew the top and then grab the plastic from the bottom is easier for me, but you do you, whatever is easier for you. So taking this off, there we go. Put that off to the side. So remember, the only reason we're adding the white paint right now is simply because we want to make sure that this isn't transparent when we put it on the black. So adding a little bit of white is going to help that, just because the neon paint is quite see-through on its own otherwise. So I'm just going to start with this, and we'll see how that mixes up. grab my paintbrush and give her a little mix around here. If it seems like I added too much white or not enough white, I'm going to want to adjust that first. This actually might be good. I like the color. I think it looks really nice. I might want to do just a touch more because I'm seeing it. I think it might cover everything I need it to, but I just want to be a little bit more secure in my decisions here, making sure that I do have enough. So I am going to just add a bit more to it just to make sure that I do have enough to cover that whole base layer here. And because, you know, this is the thickest layer, and it's gonna, for me, it's covering almost everything. So I'm doing this neon orange on the B and the to full. This portion here I'm gonna have be this kind of pinkish color. But for the sake of this video, I'm only gonna show you the one color because it's all the same. It doesn't matter what color you're using. It's all the same process. So I'm just gonna show you the one for this video to keep it not 25 minutes long, right? All right, that looks pretty good. Now, the first layer down though, we want it to be our darkest, right? And we talked about tints and shades last time. So technically right now, this is a tint, right? Because we added white to it. We didn't do that because we wanted it tinted per se. We did that because we wanted it to be more opaque, not see-through. So now we gotta add the black to create some shade. We're going to throw some shade here, guys. So I'm just squirting a little bit of black off to the side. I am so glad I squirted that off to the side and not in there. That is way too much black. Ooh, too much. So what I'm going to do, black is like so strong, so powerful of a color. So I'm just going to grab a tiny little like corner of it. So like, look at how tiny. Okay, I can always add more. But once that black is mixed in, I cannot take it away. Woo! This paint is just going everywhere. That's looking pretty good. And I want to mix it up really well because I don't want to see like that marbling effect. You know, I don't want it to look like it's got different colors all in it. Woo! Told you we'd be getting messy today. There we go. All right, so I've got that shade of my orange mixed on up. So now I'm going to just kind of scrape off my paintbrush a little here. That's a little bit intimidating to have that much on my brush. And I'm going to paint that first layer. Remembering I want to make this nice and thick. And I'm going to just try as best as I can to keep those lines nice and even and straight as much as I can. Don't be afraid to turn your paper. Actually, I'm going to do this here. But, you know, your wrist only moves in so many directions, but your paper can move in many more. So feel free to, like, move your paper so that it's more comfortable and works better. Notice how slow I'm going here. This is not a race. Not a race at all. Even with that white added in, you can still see it's a little bit transparent. So if you're running into that with yours too, you know, feel free to let it dry and then go over and do another base layer as well. I just want these to be as nice and crisp as possible. Take your time with it. Okay, so I would definitely want to let that dry and go over that once again with another layer. For the sake of this video though, I'm going to show you still the next steps while that dries. So after this video, I'm going to go over this again because you can see the black of the paper showing through still. So I will have to go over this again, but I'm not going to sit here and make you guys watch paint dry. We don't need to do that. Okay, so I would do this full layer. Remember, I'm only doing the B and the to full portions. I guess I can just finish those up quick. You guys don't mind, do you? And if you do, feel free to fast forward. Beautiful thing about these recordings, right? When I'm kind of doing a sloppy job here because I'm trying to go fast for the video. So you guys do a better job than this, but I'll try to even that out a little bit. Ba, ba, ba. Beautiful. I love this phrase. Ever since I first saw this, I was like, oh, so wonderful, right? Like, just reminds us that we are lovely as we are. We do not need to be concerned about what the media and magazines and other things tell us is beautiful. You are beautiful as you are. All right. Once again, I would take much more time and care to make those nicer, but for sake of the video, I'm going to just move on to the next step. Of course, I would also want to do the same thing, right? I would mix this with the white first, then add that little bit of black to do this. And you guys will see that in coming videos that part will be done as well. But I just want to show you, like, once you have this layer done, where you've let it dry, go over the top again to make sure it's nice and opaque, that we're not seeing the black of the paper show through. That's when I'm going to do my second layer then. Okay, so my second layer is going to be just that color itself with the little bit of white in it to